Hey gang, it's your old pal Clay here, Mountain Music Exchange, and today is a video I have really wanted to do for a long time. We are going to compare two guitars today with very spicy prices. That is going to be the Gibson Custom 1958 R8 reissue Les Paul Standard against its Murphy Lab Ultra Light aged counterpart. And let's go. Alright gang, so I've got in my hands here a 1958 reissue Les Paul Standard from the Gibson Custom Shop in Nashville, Tennessee. This one here is in Bourbon Burst, and one of the reasons I wanted to do this video was we actually have here in store, in stock right now, a Gibson Bourbon Burst Standard 1958 in VOS. We also have one that is a Bourbon Burst in Murphy Lab Ultra Light finish. So there is a little bit of a price difference between these two guitars. One of the price differences comes in the form of the different type of aging technique that they use. VOS is almost like sort of a finish rub sort of thing, right? And there is a mystery behind the Murphy Lab. But the VOS runs $52.99, and this, the Murphy Lab Ultra Light 1958, is right around $62.99. So what I wanted to do was maybe talk about this with you guys and see where that price difference lies. What extra work went into this guitar to make it that much more expensive, and ultimately, is it worth it? We'll go top to bottom on both of these. We'll talk about any differences that I happen to find along the way, not just visually, but in the feel. The reason I say in the feel is I did get to talk to Tom Murphy at the Gibson Custom Shop in the Wood Library. That video is here on the channel, and the link will be in the description below, so please do check that out. It wasn't a long interview, but it was very insightful, and to talk to Tom Murphy is such a treat. We got to chat for probably, I don't know, 30-40 minutes before we got on camera to do our little chat. So he's a very cool dude. He's very down to earth. He's got a lot of really cool stories to tell, and I only heard a small fraction of those stories, and you kind of just get spellbound talking to Tom Murphy, right? It's a really good time. Shout out, big thanks, of course, to Gibson Guitars for letting us come down, hang out for a little while in Nashville, and they were very sort of gracious and accommodating for us, a very small guitar store. So again, thank you to Gibson very, very much for that. These, however, again, are store stock. This is not a sort of sponsored video. Gibson has not said one way or the other for us to do anything, not do anything. These are just guitars that we happen to have, and I happen to be a bit of a Gibson Les Paul aficionado slash nerd. I also actually have this shirt, which you can find at Mountain Music Exchange online at mountainmusicexchange.com. For starters, I'm going to start with the VOS, go top to bottom, and then as I go top to bottom sort of on this Murphy Lab guitar, I'll talk about any differences that I happen to find along the way. And if you see any differences that I haven't seen, or I have made some sort of error, just leave a comment below. Starting at the very, very top here, this is the VOS model. Starting at the very top, you still have sort of the 58 style headstock here, which is very similar to the modern headstock. You do have the sort of aged mother of pearl finish to give it this sort of closet classic vibe, to give it this sort of, you know, it's been around but not been played very much, just natural nitro wear look, how it kind of ages in a certain tone, right? And you also have Kluson style single line, single ring tuners back here, which are of the era. They are period correct. Wide bevel truss rod cover, which you will find on both guitars. You do have a rosewood fingerboard that is Brazilian rosewood with a very, very rounded, very robust 58 neck profile here. You do get the sort of pearloid inlays. These are not mother of pearl, but I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, the material used here should in fact be the same material used in 1958. And as I'm sitting here talking to you, I cannot remember for the life of me what that is. So I apologize, gang, on that one. But as you go on down here, you'll notice you get sort of the standard, like old school Gibson strap buttons here, which are in modern terms, I would call scary. And that's because they're so small and they're at an angle. Going on down here, you do have this beautiful Bourbon Burst finish on a plain maple top. You also have Gibson custom bucker pickups here. You do have a real, honest to goodness, ABR1 bridge. This has the posts going directly into the wood. This is historically accurate and is also sort of, there is a belief that, you know, the vibration going directly into the wood is a tone enhancement. I'm not here to dispute that or confirm it really. It just is historically accurate, so this is where it is. But I would like to know your thoughts on that. Also, we have here a lightweight aluminum tailpiece, and you could tell sort of, especially in the B-roll footage, I'm sure you've probably seen by now and will continue to see, there is a little bit of light aging sort of done to the pickups, the bridge, and the tailpiece here. There is a light aged sort of feel to this finish. I do believe that is some sort of like rub that's actually on top of the finish. I think it is possible to maybe buff that out into a very clean finish. I do, however, think that sort of takes away from the draw of this guitar. I actually prefer, under a stage light even, in here, anywhere, I actually do prefer the VOS finish. It does look a little more sort of natural to me. I think sometimes Gibson USA's can have such a thick nitro finish, and it's a different formula, I believe. But I don't know, it just looks too new, too bright, too shiny. There's nothing wrong with that, it's just not my flavor. You do have aged plastics here made from the same sort of plastic that you would find in 1958. Also, there is no bevel here on the pick guard, which I think is very interesting. It is sort of exactly the same spec that you would have, again, had in 1958, 59, the original bursts, right? You also have very cool amber knobs here with thumb bleeders, or indicators, I guess you could call them. But again, made from the same plastics, use the same paint that would have been used then. Gibson has gone above and beyond, really, especially in the last few years, to be more historically accurate with their guitars. And I think they are pretty on the spot. I've never really held a 58 burst, but I have held a 60. Once you start really playing this, I think it's close enough, considering what you're going to pay for a real 1958 versus this at $52.99. I think it's close enough that when you're playing, it's fine. You're really, any minute detail that may not be here, and I don't even know what detail that would be, is just going to fall away once you play this. These things feel and play phenomenal right out of the box. They are set up at the custom shop during final assembly. I've actually seen that firsthand, and there is attention to detail paid here. Now, anyway, you do have a one-piece mahogany neck here that also, you know, connects to the one piece. It's all of this. The head, the neck, it's all one piece, right? You do have a long neck tenon on this model, as well as any other Murphy Lab or Gibson custom reissues. You do have that now throughout the entire range. It's been that way for a while, so that's probably not news to a lot of folks, but just in case it is, there you go. I love these super cool emblems or switch covers that they put on the back here. Gibson custom, handcrafted in Nashville. And you also, if you want to keep it completely like sort of original, quote unquote, it does come with a plastic black, just the cover, and you can sort of keep this medallion as a display piece or whatever you want to do in the case, however you want to live your life, right? But anyway, I do love this. I just think it's classy. Just reminds you, you know, you're the only one that's going to see it, right? No one that's watching you play this is going to see it. So you're the only one that's going to see it. And it's just a nice reminder, like, hey man, you've really got a special guitar here, right? One piece mahogany body, and it is super resonant, super just good feeling guitar. The weight on this isn't bad at all. I would say this particular model, without weighing it, probably in the high 8, low 9 range for weight, which is really ideal Les Paul weight. So that's sort of the top to bottom on this. Again, if I've missed anything, just let me know in the comments. But I'm going to go over to the differences now between this and the Murphy Lab Ultra Light finish. Now, there are 4 levels of finishes with the Murphy Lab guitars. You have Ultra Light, Light, Heavy, and Ultra Heavy. Ultra Heavy is an homage to a very often played, often road worn, often gigged guitar that has all the right wear marks in all the right places. But what about the light aging? Well, For the most part, it's not terribly dissimilar. But what I can tell you is that I feel, and I think the feel is a lot of this, to be honest with you. I'm going to play both of these later so that you can hear them, but I don't think you're going to hear a perceptible difference between the two in a recording using at least the equipment that I have. But I think the feel and the visual vibe does count for a lot here. And when you're playing a guitar, feel is probably more important, almost than sound. If you feel some sort of way about the guitar that you're playing, you're gonna play it better and you're just gonna sound better. And between the two guitars, the specs, the on-paper spec sheet specs are very close, if not identical, right? Same pickups, same hardware, but the feel is the difference here. So let's go top to bottom, talk about this. You can see some of the differences already, but we'll talk about them as we go on. Again, you do have the aged Gibson mother of pearl logo up here. And as you go on down, you do see that there is a little bit of a difference in the way like the decal is either applied or that the finish is put on over it. You can actually sort of feel a little bit. Same truss rod cover here. You also get, you know, again, Brazilian rosewood fingerboard, big rounded 58 neck, but you start to see some differences as you get closer to the body. There are some differences on the back here as well and on the neck, and we'll talk about those as well. But you can see this strap button is not even close to looking like the other strap button. It is the same part, right? But it is aged and looks like a guitar that has maybe not been in its case its whole life. So, and you also can go on down here and see that the pickups are aged more than the pickups on the VOS. You can see that the hardware here, the bridge, is perceptibly aged way more than on the VOS, as well as the tailpiece here. And furthermore, there is finish checking on this one. I know that, you know, Tom Murphy has talked in some videos and even with us a little bit about like the sort of railroad spike thing, right? That doesn't really apply here. There are really no discernible, mentionable dings, dents, things that would make a guitar look heavier aged. So this is really more in the finish of what makes this different. The finish does feel a little different. It feels, I don't know how to describe it, and I'm not sure that I have the right words to describe it, but I will try. It is like harder, if that makes sense. Almost like, it doesn't feel like it's as soft a finish. Like maybe it feels like a nitro finish that has been around for a while and sort of gotten a little stiffer. If that's even a thing, if that makes sense, I'm not sure. But there is a very light sort of checking all the way up and down the body here of the guitar. You almost have to put it in the light to notice, and I'm not even sure that from the angle we're talking here that you'll be able to tell. It almost looks like from some angles, almost like a flame top compared to like a finish checking issue here. You can also go down here and see that the strap button down here is equally as aged and sort of used looking. You can also see the hardware here that connects the pick guard to the body is a little aged with a couple of rusty spots, again, sort of mimicking the idea that this guitar has been pretty well maintained but has not lived a case queen life, right? But anyway, and as we go on to the back here, you can see all the way up and down the back of this one-piece mahogany body here as well, that, again, this is finish checked very slightly. The neck is also very lightly finish checked as well. And speaking of the neck, by the way, you do get some extra rolling done on the neck. And the reason that you get a more rolled, rounded neck on one of these is because, you know, they can break the finish to sort of round out this neck even more so that it feels more comfortable in the hand. There's nothing here. You can play this for longer without having to sort of feel any fatigue in the areas where your hands might be gripping the edges. And that's also to sort of mimic the played feel of a guitar as time wears on. The finish, etc., will kind of wear away and you'll erode this after X number of months, years, decades, right, of playing. And I also noticed that the binding here is a little bit more aged and does have a couple of spots that maybe have some checks in those as well. The setup is, again, pretty much spot on. I think final assembly takes place for both guitars sort of in the same place, right? At the same table or area, I guess, in the custom shop factory. This is a really, really nice feeling guitar. Plus you get a little extra provenance. Every Gibson Custom does come with a sort of hardback certificate of authenticity, but they don't always come with this cool Murphy Lab, like sort of checked booklet here with their certificate of authenticity in it, which I think is just a nice nod to the sort of craft that they do in the Murphy Lab. When I went to the custom shop, we could see the Murphy Lab like as its own separate sort of entity. I got to talk to Tom Murphy outside of the Murphy Lab, but I did not lay eyes in the Murphy Lab. Again, I cannot tell you any of the science that goes into what creates a Murphy Lab. What we're gonna do now is probably just go ahead and run these through their paces. We're gonna take both of these guitars through their paces. What I'm gonna do is I will label each, like as we separate between the guitars, you'll have a label at the bottom so you'll know what's going on. What we're gonna do is play both of these guitars back to back on each setting. So for example, I'll have neck pickup clean, VOS, neck pickup clean, Murphy Lab guitar, right? And we'll see if there's a perceptible difference, but my guess is that we're gonna be looking more at feel here than anything else. So I'm gonna be using a Line 6 Helix, gonna be using a clean and a dirty. The clean will be like a Fender Deluxe style amp. The dirty will be sort of like a Marshall JCM 800 style amp. It gives you sort of the like bass tone for the most common sounds I think that you'll hear most of the time out of these guitars, right? If you want to hear me try one of these guitars with something else, or any guitar with something else, let me know in the comments below. While we're here, speaking of the comments below and your interaction with us, it is that time for the shameless like and subscribe play gang. If you like the video here that you're watching now, or you like any of our other videos that are on the channel, of which there are over 300 now, by the way, please give us a like and a subscribe. Get us in your algorithm. It would very much mean a ton to the channel, and it doesn't cost a dime for you. And it would help us be able to make you more content that is enjoyable, maybe a little bit higher quality, technologically speaking. And overall, it would just be cool for everyone involved, yourself included. And with that being said, gang, let's play these two guitars, see what happens. All right, gang, that has been, this is, they're both, there are a lot of 58 Les Pauls here today, okay? Well, at least two. But this is the Murphy Lab VOS. I've had a ton of fun with this video. This is a video I've wanted to do. You know, there are some older videos here on the channel, some older Epiphone videos where we kind of started working our way up before we were Gibson dealers. Now we have these, and I love being able to do these types of videos, these comparisons. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on whether or not you thought there was a perceptible sound difference. I'm not sure that I did, but I can tell you that there was a perceptible feel difference, and I think that maybe made this guitar sound a little different than that guitar, even if tonally it doesn't necessarily, right? But this guitar is super different to play. The action is actually about the same on both. The necks are relatively straight on both. Actually, they're arrow straight on both. So I think it's just the difference in the feel of this neck, the finish, the rolled edges. You get a bit of a vibe here with the aging, like you've really got something special on your hands, or something different at the very least, right? So I don't know, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to check us out online at mountainmusicexchange.com. You can check out that new arrivals section where you see all of the latest new and used gear that comes into the store. There is nothing on that website that is out of stock. If it's out of stock in our store, it goes off the website. So everything you see, we have. And don't forget to check us out. Haas is back on TikTok with the shorts, so be sure to check those out as well, and here on the channel. And of course, check us out on Facebook and Instagram. Gang, that's got us on this one. I'm Clay, and you rock. And wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, make it loud.